Hello everyone and welcome to Victoria's Cantina. Today we're having a look at the Hasbro Jurassic World Growler Dimorphodon. Alright you guys, now I am quite late in reviewing the Dimorphodon, and the reasoning for that is that I wasn't planning on picking it up. It just doesn't seem like something that I was particularly interested in, and I just wasn't going to be getting it at all. But Matt Brando told me that this is one of the best toys in the Jurassic World lineup, and it was something that I would probably like. So I thought, I'm going to go ahead and check it out. So here we are, the Dimorphodon in the box, same exact style as any of the other Jurassic World product line that you have undoubtedly seen by now, which interestingly is very similar to the packaging that Hasbro created for the mock-ups in the Jurassic World movie. So very interesting, and tells you that it uses 2 alkaline batteries that are pre-installed. And looking at the back there shows you the Dimorphodon kind of looks like it's flying, and it says that it has chomping jaws and flapping wings and ferocious fight for survival. All right, so let me go ahead and get the Dimorphodon out of the box and see what it's like out of the packaging. All right, you guys, so taking a look at the Dimorphodon out of the box, you can see that it is sculpted decently. It doesn't look like anything, far out, but it is sculpted quite nicely. In fact, I would probably say that this is sculpted a little bit better than most of the other dinosaurs in Hasbro's Jurassic World lineup. Paint scheme is largely a jungle green type coloration, but it very much has a like an army camo type look to it, what with the beiges and the blacks. Very much looks like a flying reptile sort of thing. So in that regard, it does look pretty good. Give you a close-up here of the head. As you can see, it is actually very detailed. I'm quite surprised now that I actually have it out of the box. I've seen it a ton of times in the stores, but never from this perspective, and it actually is really detailed, so quite cool that they gave it all the nice scales and everything. It just looks really good. The eye looks very nicely done, looks pretty organic, very reptilian like. The teeth are very blunt, but at least they are sculpted independently, which is pretty cool. Front of the head looks quite good. Again, really nice job on the eyes on this guy. And I don't really like the slacked jaw. I mean, it shouldn't be open all that far back. Maybe it should be open like right here-ish. But yeah, it is what it is. Inside the mouth, there is a little bit of detailing there. You can see the roof of the mouth has some sculpting to it. The tongue is sculpted. Unfortunately, they didn't paint that little thing back there, flesh tone. It's like just gray. They should have painted it. Looks like there is a little bit of a scratch or something along the tongue. I mean, all in all, it does look pretty good. It is a little bit better, I would say, than the other things that Hasbro has done, especially if you look at those raptor growlers, like the insides of the mouths on those were just awful. Especially, like Charlie and Delta. This is a little bit better than that. I don't really like the big open slack jaw. There's also like a screw right there, and I guess it kind of just holds it in place. If you look at it from the top, that's its back right there. The detail is decent. It's got the dino damage up there, which I don't like. I'm not a huge fan of dino damage, but the growlers, all have dino damage, and they all light up, and I'll show you that in just a moment. The wings, you can see that it has its arms out here, and some claws that are not painted. And the wings don't look pretty bad. Looks like it has these nice folds to it, veins or whatever would be inside the wing tissue. So that is sculpted pretty nicely. The legs look quite good. From the underside, you can see it does have quite a few unsightly screw holes. Luckily, and hopefully, I'm not going to have it displayed like this unless, I just wanted it to appear dead, which it does a very good job of looking dead. But, you can see the little battery compartment right there. The slots there for the sound. But that's just way too many screw holes underneath it. way too many screw holes. Again, the legs do look pretty good. They could have detailed them a little bit more, you know, painted the claws and whatnot, but they didn't. It does have a number that's printed right there on the wing, and if you look at it from this side, you can kind of see it backwards. It's very weird. I don't know if that's just like an error or what would have done that, but very, very strange. One thing that always kind of bothered me about this is that the tail is very, very stubby. In fact, if you look at the Dimorphodon that Hasbro made for its blind bags and the tubes that come with the little miniature dinosaurs, you can see that this Dimorphodon, it has a very nice wingspan for one, but also the tail is very long and you know, has a more bulky tip back there. And I think that would have made, you know, their Growler Dimorphodon look a lot nicer. Now, I get that, you know, they had to have it at a certain size to fit the packaging, but they could have always included the tail as a separate piece, maybe included inside the box, like they do with the Chomping T-Rex and the Indominus Rex, the bad girl. You know, for what it is, it's pretty nicely done. It's not great, but, you know, I will admit that it is sculpted a little bit more nicely than some of the other items in the Growler lineup. It does have more detail than most of the others for sure, and that includes the Ceratosaurus, the Dilophosaurus, and you know, Delta and Charlie. As far as the action features that it has, I mentioned the dino damage a little while ago. You basically, like all the other ones, you just press the dino damage and it lights up and releases a sound effect. And it sounds kind of like a shriek. It actually sounds pretty good. I like the sound that it makes. That actually is pretty cool. And the other action feature that it has is you pull the legs inward and it flaps the wings, making a sound just like this. If you press them in once, you get 2 flapping sounds. If you press them in twice, you get 3, and so forth. Very interesting. It's pretty cool. I think that that's, you know, fairly unique the way that it does that. I kind of would prefer that, you know, if you just pressed it in once, it would just flap once. I mean, that would make the most sense, right? But, you know, I'm not going to complain too much about something like that. That is pretty cool. I mean, I think that the sound effects and the action features on this are a little bit better than most of the other Growlers. And just to give you an example here of what I mean for the detail, here's a Growler Velociraptor Charlie. You can see the detail on her is more, it's just not present. You know, it is sculpted obviously, but the details aren't quite as rich as you'll see like on the Dimorphodon, like on its head, and even on other areas of its body and tail and so forth. All right, ladies and gentlemen, so there you have it. This is the Hasbro Jurassic World Growler Dimorphodon. Overall, I gotta say that I am more pleased with this than I ever anticipated that I would be. Now that I actually have it out of the box and am able to handle it and kind of play with it a little bit, it is clear to me that it is actually a pretty good toy. Definitely one of the highlights of the Jurassic World product line. Sculpting on it is pretty nicely done, especially with the head. Coloration on it, you know, is pretty decent. I don't really mind the paint scheme at all. In fact, I think it's pretty good. And while I'm not really a fan of the slack jaw that it has, I gotta say that the action features and the sounds that it makes are very, very cool. I really like the sounds, just, I just love that. Very prehistoric sounding. And very, very cool, very loud sound effect. And then the wing flapping with the accompanying sound effect is also very, very cool. So if you're like me and you've overlooked the Dimorphodon, then I do suggest you go back and give it a second look, because it really is pretty good. By and large, the Jurassic World line by Hasbro has been very disappointing, but there have been a few examples of items that are done pretty well, and I definitely think that this is one of them. Alright, my friends, if you enjoyed this video, then I do encourage you to please like and subscribe. Let me know down in the comments what you think of the Dimorphodon, whether or not you've picked it up, or whether or not you're reconsidering it. Be sure to follow me on Twitter. There is a link to my account down in the description. And as always, I want to thank you for watching Victoria's Cantina. Until next time, bye-bye.